Hi, I'm the Octopus Lady. You're watching Alien Ocean, and let's talk about, oh, look at that. TierZoo posted a video, and it's about mollusks. We gotta watch this. Oh, and in case you don't know about TierZoo, somehow, he's a fellow zoology YouTuber who talks about different animals, like their builds in a video game. Like, he goes into detail about different creatures' buffs and HP and stacks, and I'm going to be completely transparent. I don't know how to speak the gaming lingo that he uses in his videos, but regardless, his videos are very clever and educational, and he adds little animations to real-life footage that I find extremely charming. And in case you don't know about me, I'm a former marine biologist who now makes YouTube videos about all the weird and wonderful animals that live in the ocean. So if you're from TierZoo's audience and you've never seen any of my videos before, welcome! We hope you enjoy your time here. Anyway, let's jump in. Are you coming? Oh, don't worry about him. He's harmless. No, for real. I've encountered bowls of ramen more dangerous than this guy. So come on. Come on!
So today, we're going to go through the mollusk tier list. While I attempt to cover as many of the popular well-known builds as I can, mollusks are an extremely broad category. So inevitably, some are getting left out of this video for the sake of time.
Yeah, I do not envy him here. I could never do a mollusk tier list because it would take forever for me to rank all the ones I'd want to rank. It'd take me forever to even come up with a list of mollusks I'd want to rank. Just trying to rank the gastropods, for example, would... I mean, with nudibranchs and sacoglossans and sea snails, like, we'd be here all day. We'd be here all day. So I'm super interested to see which mollusks he picks.
But anyway, given just how hard it is to generalize them, we may as well just dive straight into the tier list. At the bottom of F tier, we have the common slug. Next in F tier, we have the common clam.
Whoa, wait a minute. We're only in F tier and we already have a marine mollusk on the board? That doesn't seem right.
With no eyes, terrible movement abilities, and no attacking moves, and no brain, the clam has to rely on only two stats, both of which are quite high. The first is their stealth, on account of the clam's surprisingly decent burrowing ability. By wedging themselves into the seabed, they can stay out of sight from most potential threats.
Well, okay, some clams burrow, but not all of them. Like, the giant clam doesn't burrow because it gets to be so giant that nothing can mess with it. That has to be worth something in the meta server game or whatever.
What's worse is that even though clams can burrow down to hide, in order to survive they need to filter feed, and to do that they must poke their most vulnerable weak point above the surface of the seabed, giving away their hiding spot and opening themselves up to a devastating critical hit.
I mean, yeah, I guess, but it's actually really hard to get clams out of the ground unless you know what you're doing. To use the gooey duck clam as an example, and yes, I know, it looks like a giant penis. I talked all about that in my video about them, so everyone calm down. They actually do a pretty decent job of hiding the tips of their siphons, that's the organ they use to filter feed, by letting a bunch of algae and stuff grow around it, which helps camouflage it. Plus, most organisms are terrible at unearthing burrowed clams. Predators like sea stars literally can't do anything to dig up a gooey duck, and predators like crabs or birds mostly just rip the tip of the siphon off when they try to pull them out of the ground, and the clam just grows their siphon back after a week or two. I don't know, I would put clams in B tier, not F tier. F tier's mean.
Next in D tier, we're gonna have the first of the cephalopods on our tier list, the chambered nautilus.
What? He really put a cephalopod in D tier? That's... Okay, let me just hear what he has to say.
The Nautilus is a slow-moving, armored scavenger build that sustains itself mostly on detritus and carrion that is sunk to the bottom of the sea. Their perception stat is also pretty mid, especially for a cephalopod, which on average have some of the best vision of any marine build.
Yeah, they don't have good vision because they live in the depths, where it's dark all the time. And when they do come to shallow waters, it's at night. Why waste energy and resources creating eyes like an octopus when those eyes aren't any good in places where there's no light? Also, their perception stat is not mid because perception includes other senses like hearing and smell and touch. Or at least, that's what I've come to understand from playing Dungeons & Dragons. And nautiluses have an excellent sense of smell, which is much more useful in dark places.
First in C tier, we have the geographic cone.
Wait a minute, what? We're just moving on from the nautilus like that? He didn't even talk about how cool their shells are. Look how cool their shells are. This is some Fibonacci stuff right here, I think. Is it? Don't Fibonacci's numbers make a spiral if you arrange them in a special way? I should look this up. Move it or lose it, nerd! Oh, their shell is a logarithmic spiral. This is some logarithmic stuff right here, and their shells don't just look cool, they do cool. They do cool things. See, they have this liquid in their shells called camerol, and they pump it in and out of their chambers using this tube called a siphuncle, and that's how they control their buoyancy. When they remove the liquid, all that remains is gas, which makes the Nautilus lighter, and when they add the liquid, it makes them heavier. And they have to be really precise with it in order to be properly buoyant. They gotta get some credit for that. Also, Nautiluses can comfortably live in water that has 30% oxygen levels, and they can handle being rapidly brought up from the deep to the surface without suffering any ill effects, and they seem to be more intelligent than people originally thought. D tier? A tier, at a minimum.
First in C tier, we have the geographic cone. This marine snail build rocks pretty much all the same strengths and weaknesses as your average snail, with one major exception. Geographic cone has a venomous harpoon which it uses to hunt fish, but it can also use it to defend itself in a pinch. Now, the geographic cone is still incredibly slow and really not all that stealthy, so actually landing a hit on a fish is a bit of a challenge.
I don't know a ton about cone snails, but I'm pretty sure their slowness is their stealth. Like, being that slow means they can easily sneak up on fish that are just chilling on the sea floor. 'Cause fish do that. They gotta rest too. Also, fun fact, cone snails have one of the fastest movements in the entire animal kingdom. That little movement when it stabbed the fish, that apparently takes, on average, about 100 microseconds. For comparison, when humans blink, that takes, on average, about 100 milliseconds. That's 1,000 times slower than the cone snail.
Next in C tier, we have the Dumbo octopus.
He put an octopus in C tier? No octopus is C tier. They're all S tier.
This is one of the strangest cephalopod builds in the entire game, and lacks a lot of the signature abilities players normally associate with the octopus. Color changing and ink clouds aren't going to do a player any good when most of the major threats aren't relying on vision anyway. So even though those abilities are what the octopus is best known for, unfortunately the Dumbo octopus has to find other ways to remain hidden from predators. And unfortunately, this means it needed to make even more trade-offs. Rather than using jet propulsion, which is a conspicuous and turbulent, but incredibly effective movement ability, the Dumbo octopus swims using large fins on the side of its mantle. This is significantly slower, but a great deal stealthier too.
Yeah, everything he just said is like, good. This is not C tier. Why waste energy and resources on ink sacs and color-changing skin when you live in the deep sea? Losing those aren't trade-offs, that's just efficiency. And yeah, ditching propulsion for ear fins makes way more sense in the deep ocean, not only because it makes them stealthier, but because it also uses way less energy. It's, again, all about efficiency. There isn't a ton of food down there in the deep, so you can't be jetting around all higgledy-piggledy. You have to find a better way to get from A to B. Flappy ear fins are an incredibly efficient way to get around in the deep sea.
So definitely an interesting build, but by having to sacrifice so much of what makes the octopus so overpowered, the Dumbo octopus is definitely one of the lower tier ones.
Yeah, but none of that would make Dumbo octopuses overpowered in the deep sea. They didn't sacrifice anything, they just min-maxed. I think. I don't know what that term actually means. Also, how can you put something this cute in C tier? S tier. S tier, S tier, S tier.
And at the top of C tier, we also have the first squid on our list, the bobtail squid.
He put another cephalopod in C tier? Okay, so far, if I had to rank this tier list on a tier list, it would be an F tier. I do not like the direction this list is going.
Even under cover of darkness, the bobtail squid would still be at risk of being attacked. Though it's somewhat counterintuitive, on a night where the moon and stars are unobscured, detecting another player in the water isn't as hard as you might think. The shadows they cast in the water are highly visible and give away a player's location immediately, making it very easy for predators lurking below to strike. The bobtail squid deals with this by speccing into an extremely rare and strange ability, bioluminescence. It may seem backwards to hide by glowing, but doing so obscures the squid by removing its shadow.
I don't know hardly anything about bobtail squids, but this is incredible. What a creative and clever way to not get spotted by a predator. This alone easily bumps the bobtail squid to A tier.
At the bottom of B tier, we have the leaf sheep, a sea slug with a truly unique ability called kleptoplasty. Leaf sheep is able to absorb the chloroplasts from the algae it consumes, essentially stealing the algae's photosynthesis ability. This ability generates XP passively over time, allowing them to grow, heal, and regenerate their energy without eating.
Wait a minute! If the leaf sheep slug gets to be in B tier, then clams need to get bumped up to B tier too, because giant clams do almost the exact same thing. They share a symbiotic relationship with an algae called zooxanthellae, which live inside of giant clams. And this is also the same algae that lives inside of corals. The algae basically produces food for the clam, while the clam provides a nice, safe home for the algae. And giant clams are upstanding, law-abiding citizens. They don't have to steal anything. They just create a welcoming home to any zooxanthellae in need of shelter, and the algae comes to them.
Unlike some of the sea slugs higher up on this list, the leaf sheep doesn't really have any defensive abilities.
Aha! Giant clams do have defensive abilities. They're absurd size and they're massive shells. They definitely belong in B tier. Also, this is no shade to leaf sheep slugs, because no one should hate on a leaf sheep slug. Just look at that sweet face. Little cutie, precious thing. Did you know that they lay their eggs in a spiral pattern? Isn't that adorable? I personally would have put them in A tier. Also, leaf sheep slugs are a type of slug called a sacoglossan slug. And did you know that there's a sacoglossan slug that rips its own head off its body and then walks around as a head until its body grows back? Did you know that? If you didn't, I made a whole video about it, which you can watch up there. Oh, also, did you know that there's a sacoglossan slug that looks like this? And its name is Elysia crispata? Like lettuce? Like it's crispy? Isn't that cute? Okay, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Ranking gastropods alone is going to keep us here all day.
Next in B tier, we have the giant squid.
Wait, I'm sorry, what? Did I hear that right? Did he say he put the giant squid in B tier?
Next in B tier, we have the giant squid.
He did. He did say he put the giant squid in B tier. Well, that's a choice.
One thing I bet you weren't expecting was for it to also have the highest perception stat of any mollusk. Its eyes are so large, the largest in the game in fact, that even with only a tiny fraction of a percent of sunlight making it to the depths, the giant squid can still see.
There's also a remarkable number of bioluminescent organisms in the deep ocean, so that helps them see too.
Being gigantic unfortunately makes you extremely easy to detect via echolocation, so they have to remain vigilant constantly to avoid being ambushed by the abyssal server's true apex predator. Luckily, their vision has a range just barely more than that of the whale's sonar, so as long as they're on top of their game, they should be able to outmaneuver and avoid attacks.
I'm not hearing anything even remotely B tier right now. Being huge and having a vision range that's slightly bigger than the sperm whale's sonar, and they're not just huge, they're the hugest. They're one of the largest invertebrates in the world. That's all S tier.
On this same tier, I'm also going to include the colossal squid.
He put the colossal squid in B tier too?
The colossal squid also has hooks on its arms, which do more damage and can inflict bleed buildup, making them much more dangerous for whales to attack.
Okay, but do you see their hooks? Do you see their hooks? Those are S tier hooks. Look at those! Hooks like that don't belong in B tier.
However, at the end of the day, both the giant squid and colossal squid have terrible matchups against whales.
It isn't fair to say that giant and colossal squids have terrible matchups against sperm whales because we've never seen them fight. We have zero footage of them fighting. They might have great matchups against whales. We don't know. The only reason we know that sperm whales can take out giant and colossal squids is because we found them in the stomachs of dead sperm whales. And that's like, okay, imagine we never saw lions and, I don't know, wildebeests face off with each other. And the only reason we know that lions eat wildebeests is because we dissected the stomachs of dead lions and found wildebeest meat in there. That might make us think that wildebeests have terrible matchups against lions, but we'd be wrong because wildebeests can do this to lions. Are these wildebeests? Oh, they're Cape buffalo. Whatever, all you mammals look the same.
Next in A tier, we have the common octopus, a solid representative of the octopus faction as a whole.
Oh my god, he put yet another octopus in the wrong tier.
It can deploy an ink cloud to temporarily debuff the attacker's perception stat, usually buying enough time to escape. However, escape is often its only viable option, as the octopus has some of the lowest defenses in the game. With no armor whatsoever, any hit it takes can deal devastating damage.
Okay, first off, I don't like this clip because this footage was taken at night, and the diver was shining a light on the octopus. So of course it got. There was a giant spotlight on it. Same with this clip he showed earlier too. I mean, come on, that's not fair. Second off, octopuses can actually take a lot of hits. One of their defense mechanisms is sacrificing limbs. Like, they'll intentionally feed one of their arms to a predator in order to escape. The predator will bite off an arm, the octopus will run away, and the predator won't chase after them because they now have a nice mouthful of arm. And octopuses can function just fine with one less arm, and probably even 2 or 3 less arms, and their arms grow back without much fuss. Vampire squids are so intentional about this that they actually have the tips of their arms light up, so that predators are more encouraged to bite off an arm than, you know, a head. And I know they're called vampire squid, but they're actually way more closely related to octopuses than squid, so that's why I brought them up. There's also another reason why the tips of vampire squid arms light up, but I'm not going to tell you about that here. You should go watch my video about them instead.
Finally, now's as good a time as any to say that although it's not a combat weakness, the octopus's biggest weakness is its low lifespan.
Okay, I don't disagree with this. One of my least favorite things about octopuses is their short lifespan. Evolution should release a patch for that? That makes sense, right?
Ranking slightly higher in A tier, the giant octopus adapts on the octopus archetype with one minor tweak, trading some stealth for greater strength.
Oh my god, can you believe the audacity of this guy? He's literally showing a giant Pacific octopus straight up murking a shark. But he's just like, I guess I'll put it in A tier. Like, I'm deeply insulted on behalf of my giant Pacific octopus colleagues. Also, yes, their full government name is the giant Pacific octopus, not giant octopus. You gotta get the Pacific in there, that's important.
Unlike the typically less brawny octopus builds, the giant octopus boasts impressive physical power, with arms capable of wrestling mid-sized sharks.
They're not just capable of wrestling mid-sized sharks, they're capable of wrestling mid-sized sharks to death. Okay, so this clip comes from a documentary called The Octopus Show. And if you watch the full segment, this octopus kills this shark. Like, see, look, that is a dead shark. You can watch the whole documentary on archive.org if you want to see it for yourself. But the point is, giant Pacific octopuses can kill sharks. And we found this out because many years ago, an aquarium had a giant Pacific octopus that they had to move into their shark tank for some reason I can't remember. And some aquarists are like zookeepers, but they specifically work with aquatic animals, were worried that the sharks were going to eat the octopus. But other aquarists were like, it'll be fine. It'll use its camouflage to hide. So they moved the octopus into the tank and everything seems to be okay for a while. But then aquarists started coming into work to find dead sharks in their shark tank. And they couldn't figure out what was going on until someone basically stayed up all night to stare at the tank, and yeah. Turns out the aquarists were worried about the wrong animal. Also, these sharks weren't small. They were like 4 feet long. But, you know, whatever. A tier is fine.
It also shares the same high intelligence that other octopuses do, enabling it to tackle problems and improvise solutions on the spot.
So, fun fact about all octopuses, not just giant Pacific ones, since they don't have any bones or shells or gas pockets in their body, they can squeeze themselves into any hole, just as long as their beak can fit, because that's the only hard part of their body. And I bring this up because I've had people tell me that giant Pacific octopuses can get to be 600 pounds and can fit into holes the size of a quarter, but that is a gross exaggeration of many different things. First off, giant Pacifics can get to be about 150 pounds at their largest, not 600, and they can fit into holes 2 to 3 inches in diameter, while a quarter is only about an inch in diameter, which is still incredibly impressive, but I just wanted to clear up that misconception really quick.
Next in A tier, we have the Humboldt squid, also known as the red devil.
I would not have put Humboldt squid in A tier. I would have put Humboldt squid in A tier, but they would not have outranked any octopus because that is insane.
The Humboldt squid is the wolf of the ocean. It doesn't have the best stats in any one category. It's not the fastest, it's not the largest, and it's not the deadliest. However, it is well above average in all of those categories. And that, plus some impressive hunting tactics, makes it one of the most fearsome mollusks in the game.
True. Everything he's saying here is true.
During the day, Humboldt squid mains hang out in the deep sea out of sight. But as it gets dark, the hunt begins, and the squid rise from the depths to attack. They hunt in packs, coordinating with each other via pulsing red and white light. These feeding frenzies can tear through schools of fish in an instant.
So fun fact, researchers spent a bunch of time watching Humboldt squid and drew all the different patterns they saw flash on their skin. And they noticed that they seemed to flash certain patterns in certain orders, almost as if the squids were constructing a sentence. I'm not saying that they are constructing sentences, because that statement implies that Humboldt squid have developed language similar to humans, and we don't know that, but it does indicate that communication between Humboldt squid might be more complex than we originally thought.
And last in A tier, we have the mimic octopus.
Okay, this octopus still isn't in the correct tier, but I don't know if the mimic should outrank the common and giant Pacific octopus.
The mimic octopus uses its color change ability in a truly unique way, to shapeshift into the form of other marine characters. The most obvious strategy is just to mimic a character with a powerful venomous ability, like a lionfish or sea snake. This will cause predators to leave you alone for fear of getting stung or bitten. Now, while this is all extremely impressive, it's worth noting that the mimic octopus's options are fairly limited. It's most effective at mimicking characters that already share its black and white stripe appearance. When it attempts to mimic something else, it's admittedly a lot less convincing. And if their disguise fails, their below average base stats leave them in a pretty vulnerable position should an enemy attack.
Yeah, like this is why I'm kind of unimpressed with the mimic octopus, because the common octopus can disguise itself like this, and the best the mimic octopus can do is like Kirkland brand lionfish. I know I'm throwing shade, and I know I'm gonna get chewed out in the comments for this. And in my defense, I always thought it was super cool that they try to mimic other animals, but I just don't think it's as cool as an octopus that can wrestle a shark to death.
At the bottom of S tier, we have another small mollusk with blue accents, the blue-ringed octopus.
God, finally he put an octopus in the right spot. Took him long enough, jeez.
The blue-ringed octopus has the deadliest venom of any mollusk, even deadlier than the geographic cone. Its venom is the same neurotoxin found in pufferfish, which can one-shot almost anything within only a few minutes.
Shout out to Tregenza! Or TTX, best neurotoxin in the game. And interestingly, the blue-ringed octopus does not produce the poison on its own, and neither do pufferfish, for that matter. The blue ring likely gets TTX from eating prey that already has it, and instead of that killing the octopus, it actually makes it stronger because it gives the octopus an absurdly superpowered toxin it can use. Some other fun facts: TTX is 1,200 times more potent than cyanide. It kills you by paralyzing all your muscles, including your diaphragm, so you can no longer breathe. And it might be the reason we have zombie stories. If you want to learn more about TTX, you should go check out my video about pufferfish. Also, I did a live stream recently with molecular biologist and fellow YouTuber Phi the Neutrophil, where we talked about pufferfish and why they can consume TTX and not get nerfed? I don't think I'm using that word correctly. Anyway, links in the description for both of those videos if you want to check them out.
Because of the blue-ringed octopus's insanely high damage, when threatened, it instead boldly asserts its presence with vibrant neon blue markings all along its body.
Goodness, I love this shade of blue. It's the prettiest shade of blue I've ever seen.
Because of the octopus's innate color change ability, the blue-ringed octopus is able to switch its intimidation ability on and off, allowing it to remain stealthy when it needs to.
Man, that is so cool that they can switch their rings on and off like that. Like, I know I said that TierZoo finally ranked something correctly, and while he gets points for putting this octopus in S tier, I don't think it belongs at the bottom of S tier.
Next in S tier, we have the coconut octopus.
Good. Again, he put an octopus in the right tier. I don't think coconut octopuses are better than the blue ring. I'd personally switch them, but okay, good placement.
This is the octopus build with the highest intelligence stat of any mollusk, and the only one that makes tool use a core part of its strategy, by using their incredibly high intelligence and tool use ability.
Fun fact, when coconut octopuses walk around with shells all awkwardly tucked up within their arms, that is called stilt walking.
The coconut octopus is able to regain access to heavy armor by equipping the shells of defeated scallops and clams.
Yeah, so here's something neat. Coconut octopuses don't just use tools, they might, arguably, construct them too, which is something not a lot of animals can do. Not a lot of invertebrates can do. The only other invertebrates that can construct tools are ants and boxer crabs. But yeah, some researchers argue that the act of bringing multiple shells together to create shelter is considered tool construction. To explain why would take entirely too long, because It takes researchers pages and pages and pages just to define what a tool is, let alone what defines a constructed tool, and I really don't want to get into that right now. If and when I make my own video about coconut octopuses, I will get into it then, but at this point in time, just trust me, bro, some scientists think this is tool construction.
In addition, kind of similar to the mimic octopus, most players don't have their guard up around a clam, so the shells also provide excellent cover to ambush opponents from.
Oh, huh, I never really thought of that before. That's clever! And something else that's clever that TierZoo doesn't mention is why they're called coconut octopuses. When they don't have shells to hide in, coconut octopuses pull all their arms close to their body, except for 2 of them, and then they quote-unquote walk across the sea floor. This makes them look like a coconut that's getting pushed along the ground by currents in the water. Isn't that neat?
Overall, this is truly one of the most impressive showcases of tool use in the entire game, other than humans, as it legitimately subverts one of the weaknesses of the typical octopus build without sacrificing any of the perks. An easy S tier rank.
Oh wow, we're already at the end. Okay, I want to see if I can guess which octopus he's going to put at the top. He's picked all the good ones already. Who am I missing? He wouldn't pick one that looks and behaves similarly to the common octopus. Like, he won't pick something like the day octopus or the Maori octopus. He wouldn't pick an obscure one like the telescope octopus. Man, who's left? The blanket octopus? Maybe? They're cool, but I don't think they're top of S tier cool. Okay, let's just see.
And now our final S tier, the cuttlefish. The cuttlefish has a number of impressive stats, including quite literally the highest stealth stat in the game.
The cuttlefish? He put the cuttlefish at the top of S tier? He thinks the cuttlefish is better than all other octopuses. Better than the giant Pacific? Better than the blue ring? They're all inferior to the cuttlefish? The cuttlefish?
You want me to help you cancel TierZoo?
Yes!
Why? What did he do?
He said that cuttlefish are better than octopuses!
That's it?
What do you mean, that's it? That's fundamentally wrong!
It's not wrong, it's just a difference of opinion. Besides, don't you like cuttlefish?
I love cuttlefish! I think they're the second best animal in the world! But they're second, not first!
Right. Have you eaten anything today? You're sounding a little hangry. Maybe you should just get yourself a snack.
I don't need snacks, I need justice!
Octopus lady, I think you're overreacting a little bit here.
I am not overreacting! What does TierZoo even know about marine invertebrates? He has a spinal cord! He breathes air! He doesn't know what he's talking about, and he's out here maliciously trying to ruin the reputations of perfectly genteel and virtuous mollusks the world over! He put the giant squid in B tier, for goodness sake! He's just a filthy, low-down, scummy, hair-covered mammal, and he needs to go!
Octopus lady?
Oh shit! Hi there, I'm the Octopus Lady, and I just want to let everyone know that I genuinely have no beef with TierZoo. This video was all in good fun, and he was totally on board with it. Ain't that right, TierZoo?
Yeah, we're chill.
I wasn't kidding earlier when I said I could never do a tier list of mollusks, because I am fully aware that I cannot form an objective opinion about a mollusk. Did you notice how many I moved into A and S tier in this video? And I tried to explain why, but if you found any of my reasons kind of flimsy, it's because they probably were. The only reason I think all of these mollusks are so high tier is simply because I love them. That's it. I love them all so much. Even clams, even the terrestrial mollusks. I'm not usually a fan of any terrestrial animals, but even land snails and slugs would end up in B tier on my list because I think they're cute. And I completely follow TierZoo's logic. I get why he put things where he put them. Like, I understand why he put clams in F tier and the Dumbo octopus in C tier and even the giant Pacific in A tier. Okay, I will be completely transparent and say that I still don't understand why he put the giant and colossal squid in B tier, but that's just my bias towards enormous deep-sea invertebrates talking. All my anger and ranting in this video was purely theatrical, and to emphasize the fact that I genuinely harbor no ill will towards TierZoo, I highly recommend you go check out his video about mantid flies. Mantid flies are this bizarre union of a praying mantis and a hornet, and they use these similarities to fight and intimidate both predators and competitors predators. Like, they got the raptorial limbs of the praying mantis, which are great for smacking enemies, and the bright coloration of a hornet, which is great for making predators think that they are an actual hornet. TierZoo talks about all this in detail while incorporating amazing pixel art. I'm an absolute sucker for pixel art, and his adorable little animations on real footage into his video, which you can only watch over on my streaming service, Nebula. Nebula is a prestige streaming platform where content creators like me can make high-quality videos, and you don't have to worry about annoying ads or manipulative algorithms ruining your viewing experience. We have an array of all sorts of shows that you can only watch on Nebula, which we call Nebula Originals, including TierZoo's show called Let's Play Outside, where he talks about the DPS and AOEs of different individual animals. Again, I don't know how to speak the lingo gamers use. And once you finish up TierZoo's videos, you can go check out our other awesome Nebula originals, like Wendover Productions' The Logistics of X, Joe Scott Presents Mysteries of the Human Body, and Real Science's Becoming Human. Right now, you can sign up for Nebula using my link, nebula.tv/theoctopuslady, which will get you 40% off a yearly subscription, which shakes out to about $3 a month, or you can get a lifetime subscription, which means you pay $300 once, and then you get access to Nebula from now until the end of time. And as an added bonus, all Nebula subscribers can now offer guest passes to family and friends, which allows them to check out Nebula for a full week, completely for free. No payment info is required to use a guest pass, and there are no restrictions on what your guests can watch. So head on over to nebula.tv/theoctopuslady to sign up and check out all the fantastic content we have to offer. And with that, thanks for watching another episode of Alien Ocean. Shout out to my fellow creators. I really appreciate them lending their voice talents to this video and letting me be a little bit unhinged in their general direction. I'm sure that once I spend more time convincing them, we'll be able to get TierZoo canceled in no time. Also, shout out to TierZoo for being such a good sport about all this. Links to all of their channels down in the description. Now then, for our question of the day, which octopus do you think should be at the top of the mollusk tier list? You don't have to pick one that was mentioned in TierZoo's video. Any octopus is an acceptable answer. That said, if you say something like, actually, I think TierZoo was right to put the cuttlefish at the top of S tier, I will report your comment to YouTube and ban you from my channel. Don't say I didn't warn you. Anyway, special thanks, as always, to my patrons. I really, really appreciate your support. If you'd like to support me, you can sign up for my Patreon over at patreon.com/theoctopuslady, where you can get early access to videos and or your name in the beautiful credits. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Come check me out over on Blue Sky. And until next time, this has been your friendly neighborhood octopus lady, reminding you that you don't have to go into space to find aliens.